Welcome to Mock Talks episode 3. I'm Sam and I'm here today with Nick Brick on a beautiful but freezing Sunday afternoon. Today we're going to talk about everything between life-size builds like weapons and props to tattoos and album covers. Nick, how you doing today?
I am doing fantastic. It is a build day today. How are you doing?
Pretty good. It has not been a build day for me. I've had the block for like a month straight, but hopefully that'll clear up soon. So yeah, let's see, I got a few questions for you. So obviously your builds are very pop culture oriented and you have like a very distinct style of building. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I get influence from all the media and whatnot that I enjoy outside of Lego. So play a lot of video games, love first person shooters, so lots of Destiny, Halo, the new Call of Duty game, I'm loving that.
Ooh, I've heard good things
Titanfall,
about it.
But any other games that I play, movies that I watch. One of the builds I want to work on is from Inception because that's my favorite movie. And just like pop culture in general. So music and movies will also be a big influence for what I build.
Yeah, that's awesome. Could you tell us a little about your journey in the Lego community and just how you got started?
Oh man, I go all the way back to Lego.com posting, like when they had Cool Creations or whatever it was called. When you would upload your 640 by 480 images to Lego.com of only things that Lego would allow.
Oh, I remember that. To like make it on the magazine and stuff.
Oh yeah, like the magazine stuff, Lego.com online. I just remember posting there as a kid and migrating from there to mock pages, which is now not a thing, but I started that in 2009 when I had to be like a sophomore in high school then. And moving on from there to the Flickr community at the end of 2009. And the reason I went onto the Flickr community was actually because of Creations for Charity, believe it or not. They would,
that's cool.
At the time, only allow your creation if it was uploaded to Flickr. Like, all right, well, I guess I'm going to join the big league now, Flickr being the big league of Lego at the time.
I think that's kind of where the community started, was Flickr. But
oh, definitely. It's definitely where it expanded
new.
Since the mock pages and the brick shelf days. Like, this is like ancient early 2000s internet, but not where I started necessarily. And then from there, went on to YouTube. The reason I started on YouTube was because I have all these builds with functions, and I'm showing them in picture form when it would make more sense if I filmed a video showing the functions. It took a while to get to that realization, but that's how I started on YouTube. And then now, I guess the big thing would be Instagram and YouTube. YouTube's still going strong. Flickr feels like it's on its way out, but Instagram is getting better for like multiple photo posts and be able to reach out. And it's got a huge community. Reach communities outside of Lego. And I guess that's a little part of the appeal of the pop culture stuff that I do now, is because it will reach the fans of that pop culture theme. They're like, oh yeah, I had a bucket of Legos when I was a kid. You make that with Lego now? Holy crap.
Yeah, it's great for publicity. Like, it reaches people beyond the community. And I think that's one thing about just getting good with like social media and whatever. But yeah, that's awesome.
Oh yeah, gotta tag with the right hashtags and at the right people. For
sure. So what encourages your, I guess you could say, your life-size approach to things? What inspired you to say, like, okay, everyone's making things in like minifigure scale, I'm gonna take that, but I'm gonna make it life-size, like big?
So it's just what I've always done, really. Like, as a kid, I would build a lot of minifigure stuff and do that for school projects and personal projects and whatnot. Early on in the mock pages days, I would contribute to the Lego Halo craze that was a thing then, before Mega Bloks had the license for that. But the life-size stuff is actually inspired by old Lego instructions, believe it or not. The original Star Wars Lego sets, like from 1999, 2000, that time period, they had these comics at the end of the instructions that show different alternate models that you can make with the sets. Yeah, like one of the things in the Y-Wing and TIE Advanced instructions was it showed how to make a lightsaber hilt using mostly the pieces in the Y-Wing. Or I think it was the Gungan subset from the Phantom Menace. One of the alternate models in that was to make a breathing apparatus using the 3 different cockpit pieces as the eyepiece and the mouthpiece.
Oh, that's cool.
And seeing those models, I was just, something clicked. I was just like, wait, you can do that with Lego? You can make stuff for my hands instead of minifigure scale?
It doesn't have to be like a car or something?
It's just needs that, you just need that spark. And I had that from the Lego instructions, and among other inspiration sources, like I remember the Ultimate Lego book that came out in 1999. Showed a bunch of different models that were in Legoland and their Miniland scale stuff. But one of the pieces that stood out to me was there was a model of a still life of just a bowl of fruit. And I thought like the grapes in the bowl of fruit were brilliant, and so was the banana. And that also influenced the way I saw Lego is, oh, you can make life-size stuff with that. I'm going to do that. And it's unique. There's lots of people that do it, but it's definitely not the majority of the Lego community that does that. Mm-hmm. And sometimes people will dabble and do amazing stuff, but that's just my specialty. I'll do this more than I will do minifigure or micro scale.
Yeah, that's awesome. And there's so much more room for creativity there, because when it's large enough to where you're not contained by how small the pieces are, you can fit so much more detail and just stuff like that. So it really is surprising not many more people do that. Okay,
there seems to be. Would you think that there's trying to think of the way to put it, more favoritism towards small but detailed versus big and not detailed? But
100%.
But I feel like that the mentality comes from not experiencing doing big and less detailed, because it's a different way to do things. Like I appreciate doing stuff on the small scale, minifigure scale, those vehicles. Like it seems like there's always like a new ATRT model, and it's always doing something little different that is so intricate and so detailed. I love to see that, but at the same time, it's for something like life-size scale, you have to use a lot more pieces, and it feels like it's less impressive. There's a lot more that goes into that. You can get a lot more detail out of your model because of the scale. And one of the things you have to consider is how much your model weighs. And that one might be able to rip your model apart. And it's a totally different way to do things, and both can be appreciated at the same time.
Yeah, when weight becomes a factor, the whole game changes. I remember when I was like 13 trying to make an AT-AT, getting it balanced on 4 legs, and every time I would try and set it up, it would just snap. And I was like, man, I hate gravity. And
can you imagine having that completed and being dismissed for, well, it's not small and detailed?
Yeah. I get that. So let's see. What's your biggest inspiration to build? Like outside of the obvious things that like you interpret into Lego from like I guess video games or movies, whatever. Outside of that, what inspires you to just build in general?
It's just whatever affects me, like mentally or emotionally, whatever captures my attention, I guess. So, like the obvious inspiration of oh my gosh, I'm blanking. Of
it's all good.
I said obvious and I can't even think of the word. That's kind of funny. Pop culture, that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Like, that's an obvious inspiration source for me, but less obvious would be any, like, social and political causes. I don't really want to get into it on your show, so I won't, but, like, that stuff influences the way I work. Like, I came up with this and one day the verified symbol on Twitter, just because of what's happening on Twitter. I listen to a lot of music that's very socially and politically conscious, and that's how it gets me to ask the right questions of what's going on in this world around me. And sometimes that influences an art piece, and it gets me emotionally attached. Like, sometimes it's frustration, but sometimes it's excitement. But unless I have that attachment, I'm not really that invested in what I'm going to build.
Mm-hmm. So you would say, like, symbolism, I guess, would be a way to put it. Also, sorry.
Yeah, definitely.
If you don't mind me asking, though, so one thing that was different about your approach to things, or I guess how things are symbolized to you, is the tattoos. So I know those kind of represent pop culture in the same way, but also interpret into Lego and how you perceive art. Could you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, sure, I can do that. Funny thing about all the tattoos I have, one, they're only on my arms so far, but two, I only got them starting with pandemic times. Funnily enough, like here we go. We got this deadly virus going around. Why don't I just put an open wound on my arm? not my brightest decisions, but here we are. But yeah, I got tattoos related to the different fandoms that I have, and some are actually also art pieces. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Halo going on here, Halo going down here. This one from Super Mario World. It's my favorite Mario game. I get a lot of tattoos related to nostalgic things. Like, I grew up playing Halo, and I grew up playing Super Mario Bros. Like, got the Super Mario Sunshine on the GameCube. That meant a lot to me as a kid. This one, I got one of the Muse album covers. Not my favorite Muse album, but I think that the artwork is so cool that I had to do that.
That is awesome.
I'm pretty sure my tattoo artist hated me until I paid him. It has a lot of color. Yeah, some of my other favorite ones here. I got the Doom Slayer tattoo from the recent Doom games. Mm-hmm. On this side, got a Lego optical illusions, two like Penrose triangles made into like an infinity.
Yeah, I've seen those. That's really cool.
That one I actually drew myself, and
really.
And my idea for any of the Lego tattoos I want to get is that the possibilities of Lego are endless, and you can make anything you can imagine. But if you can't actually physically build it, I'll get it tattooed. So, like, an impossible shape you can't physically build. And this one, which is actually a build by Simon Liu, is one of MC Escher's drawings. It's the drawing hands, but instead of drawing each other, they're building each other, which is an impossible thing to do.
I've seen that one. That's beautiful. That's so cool.
I was so stoked when I got that done, and I was just like, it was a brilliant art piece. I want to...
Yeah, that's
and
awesome.
And it would work as a tattoo. I wanted to get it done.
It does. It works really well. And I'll throw the original image of like the mock-up here, too. I think I'm going to have him on next week, so... We'll definitely get back to him on that too. That's super awesome. So you were saying about like the Muse album cover. So music is like symbolic to you in a way, I guess. So how do you interpret that into Lego? Because I mean, I know you have like the album covers and stuff. Do those like? I'm trying to think of how to word this. I don't know, but those are really cool. I had something else related to that. So you were saying, like, music is one of the main things that helps you build, right? So, where did it go? So what keeps you motivated while you're struggling on a project? Or I guess what's something you do while you're building to keep you motivated? Like, I know you said music, but say you have, like, builder's block or something, and then... Is that something that also helps you? Because if you can interpret music into Lego and then vice versa, but maybe it inspires you indirectly, you know?
Most of my builder's block probably comes from the impatience of not having the pieces that I want on hand and having to imagine what something will be like up until an order arrives. I don't really struggle with motivation. There's always an idea that I want to make. What I've struggled with is discipline. So just be able to sit down, block out, all right, this many hours is going to be spent building. I'm not going to go play Xbox. I'm not going to take care of the chores in this time. I'm not going to work in this time. And I'm not going to respond to friend texts or anything like that. I'm just going to build.
You just got to like lock in.
Yeah, it's a discipline issue for me because I have the motivation to build always. But you just got to set that time aside, just as you do for anything else. You set time aside to sleep. You set time aside to eat. Set time aside to maintain your house, maintain your space. You set time aside to work. You also have to set time aside for building. And if you get to that time you set aside for building and you're not ready to build, you don't have to build. Just go do something else. But you definitely got to make the time for it. And just, if motivation is a struggle, ask other people what you should build if you really have no build ideas. Some of my build ideas come from YouTube comments saying like, hey, you should build this. And then I go build that. Or
that's
just
awesome.
Like come with a sketch and see where it goes from there.
Yeah, that's awesome. You're lucky for that too, because sometimes like I'm so motivated to build and then I just can't think of anything. So I just kind of go where it takes me, and then it gets wrecked, and then it gets scrapped, and I'm like, well, that was fun still, but still get something out of it. So how do you prepare for a build? Like, do you usually go in with a plan? Because I imagine it's not easy to just like build a life-size guitar right off the bat, you know?
Oh yeah, it requires a lot of research. And funny enough, within the Orphan Lug and I guess a little bit of the Rebel Lug side of things, I have a term that most of us use called research pews, in which I would play a video game just for the purpose of researching. So say I'm playing a first-person shooter and I want to make the gun that you're holding. Like, say I'm playing Halo and I want to make the battle rifle, for example. What I would do is I would play matches of Halo with the intent of seeing all the details of the battle rifle. So I would try to kill in certain ways so I get certain animations to happen, do the 2 different reload animations, see what every little detail looks like. And it gets to the point where I'm like looking only at the bottom right corner of my screen and doing really, really poorly my matches. But I'm playing with the intent of researching the build, not playing the game well. So that's one example of that. And like, as far as like if it's from a movie or a TV show, we do research views so we could continue the rhyme. But yeah, I would play or watch with the intent of studying what my subject really is and what makes it feel a certain way. What are the major details I want to capture that makes people recognize, oh, it's a major detail, like you got that right, therefore the whole thing is right, kind of thing. Like, for example, going back to the Halo battle rifle, one of the details that people always notice is the 36 ammo counter. Like, that would be the first detail I would build if I were to make the battle rifle. It's just something that sticks out, as everyone knows that when they play Halo. And from there, after I do my research pews or research views, I would go maybe Google search different reference material, or thankfully with Xbox and PC games nowadays, you can easily screenshot or go into like a theater mode and get lots of good detailed views of what you're making. And from there, I try to find a good side view, if I can, of what I'm making, and take that, throw into Photoshop. And I have layers already made in Photoshop for different brick grids. So got like 1x1 bricks from the top view, so you can see all squares. Or
so make it like proportional, you mean?
Yeah, it helps proportion all the details exactly right. And
That's cool.
It's pretty much what I do for anything life size like that, is find exactly how big what I'm making is, get a side view, and I want a dead-on side view so I don't get any distortion of an incorrect view, therefore knocking all the proportions off in certain areas, and build from there. Build what I see. If anything's going to be out of proportion, still make it look correct.
Yeah. It is cool. It's funny you say that with like the trying to get it from a certain angle. I was like, so I don't like play video games very much, but like maybe I'm like watching Disney Plus and they don't let you screenshot, so I'm like pausing it every 2 seconds and taking a picture. So it's sort of the same concept, but that's really cool.
That's such a classic way to do things too. Like I remember a story of, I think it was a girl around the time of A New Hope coming out in theaters. She made an accurate X-Wing pilot outfit with the helmet and everything. And this is like maybe like a 9-year-old kid in 1977.
Oh, wow.
Recreating either from memory or just multiple viewings, like going to and from the theater multiple times just to be able to make this screen accurate outfit. And it was actually like an incredible outfit, especially for the time.
That's so cool.
We got it easy now.
I don't blame her for going like 5 times. I would too.
It's the same thing, just like we got a lot of things made easier for us. Like,
oh, for sure.
I pretty much do the same thing. I'll pause a show or a movie, see a good frame, and then just take a picture of the screen. That's cool. Workable.
And I remember in like 2010, if I was in like elementary school and I didn't really have like any way to take pictures of stuff or anything, I would like go to school and my teacher would have like the Lego Star Wars visual dictionary or like the building books, and I would just like look at those really closely and go back home and try and remember everything about it. But I don't know.
Yeah,
repetition's insane with that. So it's really cool what we're able to do now, especially like you said with like the grids and making stuff proportional. So
yeah, gotta use all the tools they have available to you.
So is there any cool collabs you're working on with other people, or just that share specific interests, or something you've done like that before? Because I know there was like, what is it, like the So Uncivilized collab with like the Lego Star Wars guns. That was cool.
Yeah, I don't usually collaborate with other builders often, mostly because these collabs would be micro scale or minifigure scale, and that's not usually what I do. I will participate in some of them. Like this past Brickworld, we in Orphan Lug made an orphanage that had rooms that highlighted each individual builder in Orphan Lug.
Oh, yeah, I remember seeing that. That was cool.
Well, thanks. That was one of the Orphan Lug members. That was Dan Church's brilliant idea, and it came to life, and it got non-minifigure builders to build with minifigures, so I call that a success. Yeah. I usually don't do that, but that's not to say I wouldn't collab, and my favorite kind of collab is do something life-size, so like we got So Uncivilized and then Civilized Age, the blasters and then lightsabers. One of the things I would like to do is like get another life-size Lego builder and do like a full loadout, maybe from a movie or a video game.
Oh, that would be so cool.
Like one of the dream builds I want to do as a collab is the most iconic mission in Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare is one called All Gillied Up, and you just wear a ghillie suit and it's a sniping mission, and you start off with a suppressed sniper rifle and a suppressed pistol. And I think if we have one builder build the rifle, another builder build the pistol, and we get together and do like a video highlighting this iconic mission, that would be a cool collab to do.
That would be so cool. I thought you were gonna say like a Lego ghillie suit. I was like, man, that would be insane.
Would you believe that I have an idea how to do that?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, but I'd still be blown away.
On more than one occasion, I've seen giant bags full of those 6x5 leaf pieces, and I'm just like, you know how you can weave those together instead of like connect them just by the studs?
Oh, that's
something like that could do a full ghillie suit if you have that kind of money to do it.
No, yeah, I was like, if you want to spend that type of money, but that'd still be really cool. I can only imagine how long that would take, because I can't even get two of those together successfully.
Yeah, it's besides the cost, that holds it back. There's a lot of work. We did kind of do something like that at Bricks Cascade. Kyle, my different username on YouTube, brought one of his Lego rifles, and he bought a bunch of the alt brick 6x5 leaf pieces that were in all kinds of different shades of green, and we did a ghillie wrap for the gun. So
that's cool.
It's totally doable. It's just that you need a lot of those pieces.
You do. Would those hold up? Like, if you made a whole big suit with it? Because they're, like, bendy.
It held up on the gun. So
cool.
I imagine that would work on a slightly larger scale. You don't have to make the strands that long, I guess.
Yeah. Let's see. Any upcoming projects you'd like to talk about?
Yeah. So
yeah.
I talked a little bit earlier about it, but my favorite movie is Inception, so I want to make the Dream Machine from Inception. I actually got some pieces arriving the day after this recording, so I could get that started. Hope to have it done by Brickworld. And one of the pieces I had to order for that is Dot's wristbands in white, and I had to order them from Germany because, well, being in the U.S., the only way I could get enough in the U.S. is if I bought all 7 that were on Bricklink, and then buy one more of the set that's in. Yeah. Like, all right, well, I'll eat the cost of shipping from Germany to just get 8 at once.
I don't blame you.
So that's part of my plan for Brickworld coming up. And another one, actually, I started yesterday. Again, playing a lot of Modern Warfare. I typically don't build real guns with Lego, but Modern Warfare got me hooked. So, got this plaque from the Modern Warfare 2.
Oh, that's sick.
And there's the gun I'm doing. It's the 50GS, which is the Desert Eagle.
That's so cool.
And I'm putting my silver pieces to use on it.
That's awesome, man. I love that.
Thank
So you said not real guns. So like functioning?
By that I mean I don't typically build firearms from the real world.
Okay. I see.
I mean, I've done movie props that are based on real guns. So like any of the Star Wars blasters, that's a repurposed gun from the Second World War or the Vietnam era. Or in the example of the Aliens Pulse rifle that I've made, that's a Thompson SMG mixed with some kind of shotgun as the underbuilt grenade launcher.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've technically built real guns, and also I've done that for Rainbow Six Siege, but it's just usually not what I really want to represent necessarily with Lego. Like, I get some pushback from, parents or anybody else that are just like, you're using a kid's toy to make a firearm. What is wrong with you? And in a way, I kind of agree. I don't really want to do real guns and represent that. But sometimes the influence of a game or a movie just hooks you that much, and I will make an exception. So before this, the last real gun I made was the Walther PPK, which of course is signature Bond gun. And I guess I could get away with that too, because technically 007 sets exist. A lot of the silver pieces in this came from a 007 set.
Identified as pop culture. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I got that one the other day, and I was like, there's so many just extra silver pieces in it. But I guess
I think I used every single one here. But that was such a nice surprise. That's a fantastic set. And I like Daniel Craig.
50 different license plates on it.
Yeah, and I didn't apply those stickers, so we got them clean.
Me neither.
So, yeah, so far we got one function. We got the slide that pulls back, and you can see the chamber. And what makes it snappy, even though you can see no rubber bands on it, is because this one doesn't use rubber bands this time. I took apart 3 Lego shock absorbers just to get the springs on them. And the springs are along one of these Technic axles in here.
Oh, that's so cool.
It makes it feel so much more snappy than a rubber band could.
Yeah, cool.
And
You don't rubber band would just pull it, I guess.
Yeah, that's the difference right there. Like, it's simple engineering principle is better to push than it is to pull. So
yeah.
So yeah,
that's awesome.
If I could use springs, I'm going to use springs, but it's harder to come by.
Oh, I'm sure. You said you had to take apart 3 of them? The little...
Yep.
Wow.
Thankfully, I didn't completely mutilate them this time. I could still use the individual parts, like the...
That's good.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. I guess we should probably close out here soon. Do you have any advice for a new builder, a current builder, just anyone aspiring to build stuff like you do?
Yeah, so I guess I would suggest don't worry about what other people have already made within the new genre you want to try out. I'm pretty well established as a one-to-one scale builder, and there's so many of them on YouTube and Instagram and Reddit and Flickr. But don't be intimidated. You have to start somewhere. And your first build is probably not going to be as amazing as your 10th builds, but you got to keep working at it. Just do something a little bit better than last time, and you'll improve. Like, if I showed you my first life-size Lego build, I believe it was a Nintendo GameCube I built when I was 9 years old. It was good at the time, but it could have been way better. And if I just stayed in that, okay, this is the best build I've ever made. Like, it was the best build I've ever made at the time. And I stayed within that, improve. There's always something you can improve. And maybe lots of things you can improve on. But focus on one on your next build. And if you're going to go into a new style of build, just going into that new style of build could be that new thing to improve. And
that's awesome.
You'll even learn a lot for what you typically make. So, like, if you do one life-size build, maybe you'll learn something new for your minifigure scale building. And same with me, vice versa. It always happens.
Mm-hmm. Maybe I had to try out something like that sometime. I'm so confined in what I build, but Nick, thank you so much for being on here. It was a blast.
Thank you for having me. This is awesome.
Of course, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Wishing great success for Mock Talks.
Thank you. That concludes episode 3 of Mock Talks. I hope you all enjoyed. Make sure you check out Nick on Instagram and YouTube, and tune in next week for the episode with Simon Liu, where we're going to dig deeper on the art that inspired Nick's awesome tattoo. Catch y'all in the next one. Peace.
Yeah, I do.